The tile. Since antiquity, this ceramic square has been preferred both in lining walls and in the arrangement of the most practical and beautiful kinds of flooring. Today we walk on tiles in our homes, in state-of-the-art offices, in public buildings, in industrial halls, in swimming pools, and in various wellness zones. The methods for installation of tiles include quite a few modern systems and technologies. If the professional tiler is not acquainted with them, he even risks being surprised by the new alphabet in laying tiles. This training program comprises the main rules which Weber recommends to be observed during laying tiles, so that adverse consequences of execution of poor quality are avoided: cracking, debonding, leakages, and others. Because we are the ones who should be over the tiles, and not they over us. Our work shall be successfully guaranteed when: first, we choose the right products, tile adhesives and grouts, and second, we apply them in a proper way. To choose the most appropriate products, we must ask ourselves three important questions. Where are the tiles to be laid? What substrate shall we fix them on? And what type of tile? Let us first answer the question, where? Outside, on a facade, terrace, balcony, or inside, on flooring exposed to heavy traffic and loading, or embedded floor heating, in a bathroom, or a swimming pool, in an industrial site or a public zone. Whether your tile will be exposed to freezing or to high temperatures, whether it will be under the permanent impact of water or corrosion, the various conditions, internal or external, require various kinds of adhesives for tiles in solutions with specific characteristics. What is the substrate which you will place the tiles over? Wooden or lime cement? Concrete, gypsum, steel, or existing tiles? Here you may face radically different levels of resistance, stability, porosity, or compatibility. And last but not least, what are your tiles? Ceramic, mosaic, or natural stone, large, medium, or small size? You will see that here the characteristics are rather different: porous or non-porous, smooth or rough, heavy or not. The choice of adhesive shall to a great degree depend on the type of the tiles, whether they provide for good and resilient adhesion or not. Combining all this criteria, you will choose the most adequate adhesive for your tiles. Watertight, heat-resistant, impervious to chemical impact, with improved or with standard adhesion. This will help you to choose also the right grout, with the relevant color and aspect, fine or coarse. Do not forget, you may avoid debonding or cracking only if you use the right adhesive with appropriate flexibility, water, chemical, and frost resistance. And so, what are the steps to the right choice? You may read the type, the size, and the porosity of the ceramic tiles on their packages. Their porosity may be checked by means of a water absorbent test as well. Remember that non-porous tiles are like glass. There are no cavities in the microstructure on the back, and therefore chemical adhesion will be needed for a good fixing. On the other hand, two porous ones absorb water from the adhesive nearly as blotting paper. There are 5 indicators which provide us with sufficient confidence that the substrate is good enough for secure tile fixing: stable, resistant, flat, dry, and clean. Stable means that it should not be displaced or deformed under pressure or weight. You should check whether the substrate is resistant using a hammer or when you scrape it off by another instrument. It should not sound hollow. If the substrate is not sufficiently sound, remove it and do what is needed to obtain new stable surface. Fill up all uneven areas with the relevant construction material, which will be most solidly bound to the substrate. If needed, use a special primer. And is the substrate you will be laying tiles on flat and smooth? Check it by a 2-meter straight edge. The clearance should not exceed 7 millimeters. If the substrate is not flat, you will have overconsumption of a product, and too thick a layer of adhesive will result in too long setting time or excessive shrinkage, which may cause debonding. One of the mandatory conditions is that the surface be dry. Carefully check that there should be no water over it. And finally, let the surface be clean, without any dust, oils, and other wastes which would decrease the quality of adhesion. You can do the cleaning with a broom, a vacuum cleaner, as well as with another appropriate appliance or tool. Read carefully the instructions for use of the products because this will provide you with maximal use of their qualities. The relevant information is on the packaging. Observe the water demand to add the appropriate quantity of water. Only thus you will accomplish stable adhesion. If you go to extremes with the water, shrinkage may result, weakened adhesion, or debonding. Use an electrical mixer for mixing. Stir in low revolutions, for instance 500 revolutions per minute. Always pour water first. Use a big container to mix if possible the entire adhesive or at least half a package. There should be no lumps in good mixing. An easy to spread adhesive with creamy texture is obtained and excellent quality of adhesion is accomplished. Observe the resting time. After mixing, let the designated time for maturing the solution pass. Thus it will obtain its optimal qualities. The mixture must be re-stirred again to regain its initial consistency. Each mixture has maximal time for use after its preparation. And so, your mixture is ready. What else does a good tiler need? Needless to say, the appropriate tools. A notched trowel will be used to apply the adhesive with the size of the notches in conformity with the intended thickness of the adhesive layer, from 4 by 4 by 4 for the small tiles to 20 by 8 for the large floor tiles. Ribs are obtained as a result of using notched trowel, over which the tile must be pressed by means of rotating or sliding movements. Obtain minimum 50% of the transfer on the back side of the tiles. Use a rubber hammer for the large floor tiles. Using this tool will ensure complete adhesion and the needed flatness. The key of good adhesion is open time. This is the time for which the ribs of the adhesive remain sufficiently sticky to adhere to the back of the tiles. It varies from 20 to 30 minutes depending on the product and the atmospheric conditions. Notice what the adhesion of the material under the transparent tile looks like. The adhesive is evenly distributed thanks to the right ribs and the pressing of the tile. If you lay tiles after the expiration of the open time, the risk of debonding is great because the adhesive has lost a part of its properties. When you fix large tiles with a size over 700 square centimeters or extruded tiles, especially on flooring, you must also apply adhesive on the back of the tile, which is called back buttering, regardless of the fact that the adhesive has been placed over the substrate. This provides for good adhesion and increases the resistance of the tiles if any impact on them occurs. You may compensate unevenness of the substrate by applying a layer of tile adhesive of up to 10 millimeters. Hurry up! During installation, you have fixed time to correct the position of the tiles. You should verify the correction time with the instructions of the package. When using adhesives resistant to slipping, the advantage is that after laying the tile, there is no risk of it slipping, and this will facilitate your work when laying tiles from the ceiling to the floor. Facilitation. You may use plastic crosses to obtain equal joints between the tiles. The tiles have already been laid and fixed. So far, so good. It is time for grouting, which also contains risks of imprecision and damages. This is how we may avoid them. The use of grouts for filling up the joints between the tiles is mandatory, not only for aesthetic reasons. The grouts have technological properties which will allow for flexibility, water repellence, and non-retention of microorganisms. Using the right product with correct application prevents from cracks, color differences, dirty spots, debonding of the ground. The minimal width must be 1 to 2 millimeters. We have chosen grouts with the necessary technical characteristics, wide or narrow, flexible or not, resistant to dirt or chemical substances, and of course in a color appropriate for the tiles. With strict observation of the instructions written on the packaging, we must fill up the joints with the proper tool. First, clean the joints, removing the adhesive which has come out. Otherwise, it may cause change in color. Second, the joints must be dry. In event of using colored grout and porous tiles, protect the tile or impregnate it prior to grouting. Third, mix the grouts with clean water, observing the instructed proportion. Please consider mixing up the entire package to avoid difference in the colors between two batches. Similar to adhesives, use an electrical mixer to obtain the ideal consistency. Respect resting time for maturity so that the mixture should attain its optimal qualities. From time to time, remix to achieve the best workability. The grouts will be applied with rubber trowel. Place it from one end to the other along the entire area until you fill up all the joints. Work with diagonal movements to attain flat surface and to avoid overconsumption of the product. It is recommendable that you spread the grout over a big area, so the grout will have enough time to dry up before cleaning. You may clean with a damp sponge, but not by a wet cloth. When the mixture fully dries up, polish it finally by a dry cloth. Perfect. The tiles have been fixed. But do not forget that some time is needed before the use of the premises. Do not hurry to step over the freshly laid tiles. You will have enough time to enjoy them later. Let's have a look at what was done. well, you cannot help but be proud of the result. What's more, you are already sure that there is no tile in the world you could ever fail to fix. Good work!